we are back in live from the break here on In My Own Words, the podcast. Stephen M. Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Discuss the 5 players that stood out to me in the open practice prior to taking the first break. And I know I mentioned special guests coming on in segment 2 to discuss the comments that Jalen Hurts, Alabama junior quarterback, made at the open practice / fan day on last week. We bring in Rodney Orr of Tiderinsider.com. Rodney Orr does an amazing job covering the Crimson Tide in depth for Tiderinsider.com, and he was there as well at Bryant-Denny Stadium for the media portion at fan day as Nick Saban brought both the quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts and Tua Tagovailoa, to speak. The first thing I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on here, Rodney, was the comments that Jalen mentioned at fan day toward the media. I know Nick Saban chose to bring both guys out for the first time since 2011 in a highly publicized quarterback race when you had A.J. McCarron and Phillip Sims. I know this one, much more implications than that one, but Nick Saban decided to bring both guys out. You had your choice to pick which quarterback you wanted to speak to, and I know the moment Jalen got to the mic, it seemed like he had a lot on his mind. He wanted to get something off his chest based on what's been said in the offseason, whether he was going to transfer or not. When you saw Jalen speak, Rodney, what were your thoughts on the comments he made? Did you agree with what he said? Did you agree with the timing of what he said? What was your initial reaction?
Well, my initial reaction really, to be honest with you, Stephen, I wanted to go back and look at it and think about it for just a second, without jumping to any conclusions. And really, stepping back and listening to them, his comments repeatedly, the thing that kept coming to me was I don't understand the purpose of these comments. I thought he was dredging something up that really at this point in time did not need to be dredged up. I mean, if he had something to say about the situation, I thought we should have probably stuck to the here and now, which would be to say, hey, listen, I'm here. I'm competing for this job. I'm going to be the best teammate that I possibly can. And that's really what my focus is and nothing else. I'm here at Alabama, and I plan to be here this season. And anything else beyond that is nothing but speculation. I don't understand what he's trying to clarify and with who. It doesn't really matter what the media thinks or what people are out there saying. This is something that I feel like that Jalen Hurts is trying to win a position. He should be focused on what he's trying to do and what he's trying to accomplish, and go from there. See how it plays out and do everything he can do to be helpful to the team. I'm just not really sure, Stephen, as I look at it, how that's helpful. The comments that he made are helpful to Jalen, or helpful to his teammates, or helpful to the coaching staff and the program. Again, I don't think that there's something that is, some people think maybe that they're bigger than what it really is. I don't think that's the case. But at the same time, I don't see the purpose of the comments.
We're live here via phone line, joined by Rodney Orr, who covers the University of Alabama athletics for Tiderinsider.com, graciously joining me live here on In My Own Words. Rodney, do you think it had a lot to do with, Jalen Hurts mentioned back in June he came to Nick Saban. I know a lot of people out there are saying, well, if Jalen had a problem with XYZ, why did he go to Saban and not wonder why nobody in the coaching staff came to him? Well, he mentioned Saturday that he came to Nick Saban in June saying, hey, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be a part of this roster. I graduate in January, 15 credit hours to go. We all basically heard what he said. Was hearing Nick Saban or catching a glimpse of Nick Saban at media days back in July when CBS Sports' Dennis Dodd asked him the question, and Nick was like, well, I hope he's there. I hope he remains. I'm not sure if he's there or not. Was Nick answering that question that way kind of the bubbling factor of why Jalen did or why Jalen said what he said, instead of Nick just coming out with, I did talk to him, he is going to be here. Now, as far as the competition, still an open competition, but I did talk with Jalen. Was Nick not coming out saying it that way instead of what he said was kind of a tipping point with Jalen, or is it still the same deal of, doesn't matter what Nick said, Jalen probably could have handled that a bit better?
Well, there's a lot of stuff there, Stephen. I don't. It's difficult to kind of decipher through all of that for me and start drawing a bunch of conclusions. But I'll just say this: I go back to the point of, regardless of what happened, if he told Coach Saban that in June, and I did hear Coach Saban's comment when he was asked by Dennis Dodd, and I think his response was, I don't know, but I expect him to be here. I expect him to be here. That was the follow-up. I just think that the best thing to do, if Jalen felt like that, maybe that comment wasn't fitting of what he had already told Coach Saban, that maybe the best thing to do is to go to Coach Saban and say, hey, listen, Coach, like I said, I want to reiterate, I'm going to be here, and I'm going to compete, and I'm going to be the best teammate I can possibly be. And I want you to know, Coach, you can count on me. Now, that's the end of it. That's all you can really do. And I understand he's a 19, just turned 20-year-old kid, I think, yesterday. So that kind of leads me to think some other things. And I really don't know all the details, but I would think, based on some of the other comments maybe coming from family members of his, that, Jalen's got some ideas that from his support group that he should have kind of said these things. That's just kind of the impression I get. So with that said, I just really think that they would have been better served for everybody to just say what I said initially and, do the best you can possibly do, compete for the job. We think you can win the job. And if you don't, we'll address that then. And we'll address that amongst ourselves. And we're not going to make a public spectacle out of it. If we feel like you need to move on, if you feel like you need to move on, we'll make that decision and go from there. So, again, I think there's other ways to handle it. And I do understand this too, Stephen, on the flip side of it. This is a pressure-packed situation. You're talking about a guy who's had a very successful career so far. He's put up some big numbers. He's been a part of some great teams. They have a great record. The team has a great record with him at quarterback. 26-2. They've gone to 2 national championship games. All of those things, and you're certainly excited about the future. And now all of a sudden you're embroiled in a quarterback race that probably, frankly, the guy who you're competing against created one of the greatest moments in the history of not only Alabama football, but certainly one of the greatest memories in college football, with what he did as a true freshman, delivering that throw and, leading Alabama back from a 13-zip deficit in the second half with almost no meaningful playing time. So, all of a sudden you go from being a guy that's got 2 more years and you've had a star-studded career already to maybe the guy that's the forgotten man, so to speak. So you almost wonder, is there some pride and ego there that's been shaken? And maybe that's part of the root of these some of his comments. And again, I do think this, Steve, I think it's important to say we're just kind of analyzing what all of this doesn't make it right, what we're saying, but also at the same time, I think the important thing is that Nick Saban's not going to allow this to infiltrate the team. They're moving forward. I think that his comments now are in the past, so we'll see what happens moving forward.
In doing that, Rodney, or before doing that, how much also does the fact that it's a strong quarterback room as a whole that weighed in on Jalen's comments? Because in years past, Alabama's always had that one quarterback that you knew was a big-time playmaker, and the guys behind them were just kind of the supporting cast guys. When you look at Greg McElroy, A.J. McCarron, even John Parker Wilson, guys like Blake Sims, Jacob Coker, you knew these guys were something special, something talented, and the backups behind them were good players, but were not quite on that level. Now you have a quarterback room where you mentioned Tua Tagovailoa. It's been heard across the world how special this young man is as a passer. You've seen Mac Jones continually grow since the spring game. And when I watch him, there are kind of some A.J. McCarron-esque qualities about Mac Jones, despite the fact that he wears number 10, the same number A.J. McCarron wore during his time in Tuscaloosa. So for me, in asking you, was there anything about this quarterback room as a whole being very, very good to the perception of no matter who's being put on this field, they could potentially kill me as a defense? Was some of that rooted in Jalen's comments?
Well, I really don't know. I know that the competition here is probably as good at that position as it's been in a long, long time, maybe since I can remember, with the three quarterbacks, of that have those kind of different abilities. And, so I really don't know. I just know that when you're at Alabama, whatever position it is, since Nick Saban's been here, it's about competition. And that should go for the quarterback spot as well. Again, I think that to me, Jalen Hurts was. There's some coaches maybe when he started struggling at points last year would have considered making a move then. Nick Saban, I think, has handled this situation as well as it possibly could be handled. He's given, certainly Jalen's had every opportunity until Coach Saban had to make that change in the second half against Georgia. But that said, the competition here, like you said, you've got Tua Tagovailoa. He's a great quarterback. He's a great potential quarterback in all aspects of the game. Mac Jones is I think a rising player who's really kind of not said much. He's set back in the background and continued to develop. And he's a guy that when you start watching him, you can see where he could be down the road a guy that could be very, very good college quarterback, certainly in Alabama's system. So competition's there. I don't know, other than that, really what else to say in terms of how it might have affected Jalen Hurts.
He's Rodney Orr from Tiderinsider.com, graciously agreeing to join me live here on In My Own Words to discuss the comments Jalen Hurts made at Fan Day, the media portion of Fan Day on last week. But as Rodney mentioned, the team looking to put this behind them and move forward as we are 4 days into fall camp, 21 more days to go as there are 25 practices before the game week starts on Monday, August 27th. Crimson Tide will take on the Louisville Cardinals in Orlando, Florida, Saturday, September 1st to kick off the 2018 college football season. Rodney, I know you got to get on the road, but before we let you go this morning, thank you so much for joining us live here on the show, and let our listeners know where they can find the content that is Tiderinsider, that is Tiderinsider.com, that is popping with Alabama content every day.
Well, Stephen, like you said, it's Tiderinsider.com. It's only $48 a year, and they can get access right now with their credit card, or if you prefer, there's an address there to send a check, and that gives them access to all our premium information, but also, Stephen, our forums, especially the All Sports Forum, a lot of discussion about the latest on Alabama football, Alabama recruiting, and all the events that surround Alabama athletics. Again, Tiderinsider.com.
Thank you so much, Rodney. We enjoyed you. Have a great one.
Appreciate it, Stephen. Take care.
That was Rodney Orr of Tiderinsider.com agreeing to hop on the show with me for about 10 to 15 minutes and giving his thoughts on the comments Jalen Hurts made at the media portion of Fan Day on last week, as Alabama looking to put this behind them and continue on with fall camp as it prepares for the 2018 college football season. I'm going to keep my comments pretty brief here. I don't disagree with what Jalen Hurts did. I agree with what he said. I agree with what he did. As far as the timing of what he did it in, that's debatable because some may say he could have chosen a better time, but better for this to be let out now than, say, in a marquee game where it all lets out in a marquee game, and that would really be dysfunction if it came out during a marquee game. So, agree with what he said due to the young man is a United States citizen. He has the right to speak his mind, part of our Constitution. He has that right to free speech. I don't think Jalen was targeting this at Nick Saban or the quarterback battle, though. I mean, everybody has their own thought process on things. I respect that. And for me, when he said the narrative's already been written, I think he was referring to the narrative of him transferring, right? Because ever since the national championship game against Georgia, the one in which Tua Tagovailoa comes in the second half and did his thing, everybody, or not everybody, but there's been a number of people, whether it's been, national media, Alabama former players, just a number of different people have come out and were like, Jalen could transfer back to Florida Atlantic. I mean, Lane Kiffin is kind of the one that birthed him. He can go to FAU and work with Kiffin, or he can go back home to Texas and get with Texas Tech, TCU, one of those Big 12 programs where all they do is play spread offense. There was one point in time where Kevin Sumlin tried to court him to Texas A&M, and that didn't work, and now Sumlin's at Arizona State, and there could be something there. Most people kept talking about, Jalen, he should transfer, he can transfer, and he kept hearing it, but he didn't say anything. And a lot of the reason why is, Nick Saban, unless he gives you the opportunity, the platform to talk, he doesn't allow a lot of people to speak to the press. I mean, he's got 30, 40, 50-year-old coaches with wives and children on staff, and they don't even talk. So if grown men with a family and life at home, wife and kids can't speak, what makes you think a 19, 20-year-old can speak if Nick Saban does not give them the opportunity? So I feel like with Jalen, he wanted to come out and say, look, you heard from this guy, you heard from that guy. Coach Saban said his thing, but now you get to hear from me. I'm not going anywhere. And I think the big picture was, to me, and I understand going back to what Jalen mentioned in June, where he talked to Coach Saban, sat down with Coach Saban. Nick Saban is basically the CEO, founder of a Fortune 500 company. We can basically call Alabama that because that's how the Tide's being ran, like a Fortune 500 company. And with any owner of that company, you have an employee that's dedicated, that's punctual, that does what he's supposed to do and does an exceptional job. And you know that certain person does an exceptional job, and you expect him to do that way. And he's never given you the idea, but he's not going to do a great job. And then rumors happen around the company, hey, boss, you might want to check him. You might want to check up on him. I saw him do this. I saw him do that. I saw him do A, B, C. That was contrary to what he's supposed to do at the job. So now the boss has concerns because he's like, this is unusual. This is not like him. Let me check up on so-and-so just to make sure that they're on the up and up. And you go check on them, and they say, boss, I'm good. Nothing's wrong with me. I'm doing my job. You don't have to worry about me. Boss is like, cool, great. We can go back to how they've been doing things. So if Jalen sat down with Nick Saban back in June and discussed the statement of, I'm not leaving here, coach. I'm going to be the best teammate. I'm going to be the best quarterback I can be. I'm getting my degree. You don't have to worry about me, coach. I'm dependable. I'm reliable. I'm here. Nick Saban's response, fine. Thank you, Jalen. Appreciate it. Glad to have your support. Glad to know that you're still here. And should have went on SEC Media Days in Atlanta, and Nick should have done one of two things. Nick should have done what he's usually done when he's thrown a quarterback question, and just shut it down. Don't ask me that. I don't want to address it. Next question. I don't got time for that. Like he's always done. Just shut it down. Get mad at the reporter, shut the question down, and attempt to throw something at him. Like he's always done. Either taking it that route Or, route 2, he could have said, look, I've spoken to Jalen. Jalen and I have sat down. We have had this conversation. I have discussed with him the things we need to do and he needs to do moving forward. As far as the competition, it's still a quarterback race. It's still a quarterback competition. But Jalen has told me he's here, and we're excited to still have him here. And should have left it at that. Should have left it at that. I think because of the fact that he told Dennis Dodd, I expect him to be here, but I don't know. Once you mention the words, I don't know, that's the one line that people need to take and run with. I feel like if Saban would have just said, he's going to be here, that would have shut all that down. I feel like that's why Jalen came and said what he said, because he wanted to create some clarification on, I'm not going anywhere. This person may say I'm going to Texas. This person may say I'm going to FAU. Everybody around me may say I'm leaving, but I'm the subject of conversation. I'm the source. I'm the horse's mouth. I'm not going anywhere. Once again, the timing of that, it's debatable, but what he said, I don't disagree with. He deserves that right to speak his mind in a day and age in where we beg, we urge, we plead for our young athletes to speak out, be proactive, take your platform, use it, let your voice be heard. So, yeah, he's always been a team guy. He demonstrated that beautifully at the national championship game where things weren't going his way. He was complete in support of Tua. But I believe that just wanted to get some clarification on he's not transferring henceforth the narrative, trying to graduate and get that degree. But what this does, ladies and gentlemen, this quarterback race is going to be a photo finish. This is going to be the best race yet, photo finish, because a lot of storylines here. Will Jalen be able to rewrite the narrative if he wins the job? Comes out guns blazing. You never know. Will Tua Tagovailoa, will he be what he's being made out to be? Can he be the greatest thing that Nick Saban has brought in? And then you have Mac Jones, who is chirping, who is making some serious noise. He's been the guy in the background. He's been the third wheel. He's been the appetizer that nobody seems to care about, but now that appetizer's looking pretty doggone sexy because he's out there playing the quarterback position the way it's supposed to be played, having a lot of fun out there. So strap up, folks. Strap up. You're in for a wild ride. This is going to be a very entertaining quarterback race. Appreciate Rodney Orr of Tiderinsider.com coming on to help us out here in this second segment. Taking another break here on In My Own Words. When we get back, we dive into a conversation on Mack Wilson for a moment here. Mack Wilson is extremely focused this year. Got a chance to talk to a good friend of mine who's close to Mack on how focused he is, why this focus has come, and how Mack could potentially be maybe the best inside linebacker to play at Alabama in this upcoming season. That coming up on the other side of the break. Don't touch that dial, folks. In My Own Words. We'll be back. It's your boy, Stephen M. Smith, host of In My Own Words, the podcast. If you are a fan of this show, then I encourage you to subscribe to the Touchdown Alabama Magazine YouTube channel. Also follow the brand on Facebook, Twitter, and other forms of social media as we continue to bring you the best in Alabama football and Crimson Tide athletics.